Hello, dear children. Welcome back. I'm Dr. Jisha Jo. This is part 2 of the first chapter, The Living World of Class 11. And in this session, we will be discussing about biodiversity and the binomial system of nomenclature. If we look around, we can see a wide variety of living organisms, maybe plants, animals, or even microorganisms which are not visible to our naked eye. That means a large number and a large variety of organisms are present on this earth. About 1.7 to 1.8 million species have been identified, and still more are expected to be present in the unexplored areas like the deep oceans or the tropical rainforest, the dense tropical rainforest. And the present species or the organisms that we see today are actually the result of evolution that has taken place over millions of years. And during this period of evolution, we can see that several organisms have come into existence and many species have become extinct. And the large number of organisms that we see today is necessary for the well-being and the survival of human beings. So this large number and the wide variety of organisms that we see around us is called as biodiversity. So what is biodiversity? Biodiversity is the large number and the wide variety of living organisms on Earth. And to deal with this enormous variety of organisms on Earth, a system of arranging these organisms into specific groups is needed. How are these wide variety of organisms arranged into specific groups? It is based on certain common characters. This system of arranging the organisms into groups based on certain common characters is called as classification. Classification. So once again, what is biodiversity? If you look around, we can see a wide variety of organisms around us. This large number and the wide variety of organisms, whether it may be plants, animals, or microbes, which we see around us, or which are present on the Earth's surface, is called as biodiversity, and the presence of biodiversity is necessary for the well-being and the survival of human beings. And to deal with this enormous number of organisms, we need a scientific arrangement of these organisms into groups based on certain common characters. And this scientific arrangement of organisms into groups based on certain common characters is called as classification. Now we shall have a look at the need for classification. Why do we classify organisms? The first reason is that it helps in the identification of organisms. Helps in identification of organisms. We are able to identify organisms when they are classified into specific groups. That is, helps in the identification of organisms. Number 2, if we want to study a group, we don't study all the animals or plants belonging to that group. What do? We study the representatives of the group. If we study the representatives of the group, we will get an idea of the entire group. So that is the second reason. Study of representatives gives us an idea of the entire group. Study of representatives gives an idea of entire group. Entire group. So So to study the characters of a group, we don't have to take into consideration all the organisms that are present in that particular group. But what we do, we study representatives of the group to get an idea of the entire group. The next reason, it reveals the relationship between various groups of organisms. Reveals the relationship between various groups. For example, we can identify or studying the groups, different groups, we can study the relationship between the different groups. For example, we can see or we can study the differences between cats and dogs by classifying them into groups. So it reveals the relationship between various groups. Between two different groups, we can study the relationship. What are the characters that are related in the two groups? Only if we classify the organisms, we will be able to study the relationship between the various groups. Number 4, it helps biologists to interpret the poorly visible features of fossil organisms. Poorly visible features of fossil organisms. We know when we get a fossil, we don't get the entire fossil or the entire fossil of the organism. We get only certain parts of the organisms in the fossil. So by studying or by classifying the organisms into groups, we can interpret the features which are poorly visible in the fossil organisms. So these are the need. Why do we classify organisms? First one, helps in the identification of organisms. Classification helps to identify the organism. Number 2, it helps to study of representatives of the group gives an idea of the entire group. So that means we don't study all the organisms present in a group to get an idea of the whole group. We take representatives of the group and study them to get an idea of the entire group. Number 3, it reveals the relationship between various groups. So classification helps to understand the relationship between various groups of organisms. And number 4, it helps to interpret the poorly visible features of fossil organisms. Because when we get fossils of organisms, we don't get the entire organism on the fossil. Only parts of the organisms will be visible on the fossil. So if we have the classification, or if we know the characters of the organisms, we can relate the fossil organism with a particular group, and thereby we can interpret the poorly visible features of the fossil organisms. Now suppose a new species, a new organism has been discovered. So first what we do is we study the characters of the organism. This is called characterization. Characterization. We study the characters of the newly discovered organism. Then what we do is we compare these characters of the newly discovered organism with the characters of related groups. This process, or this is called as identification. Identification. So first is character. Once we discover a new organism, first thing what we do is we study the characters of the organism. This is called characterization. Then what we do is compare these characters of the newly discovered organism with the characters of related groups. This is called as identification. Then what we do is classification. So we compare the characters of the newly discovered organism with certain groups which we feel are related to the newly discovered species, and then what we do is classify them. Classify or group it into specific, or place it into a specific group which is having more common characters. So this is called classification. Now, next stage is nomenclature. Once we classify, we have to name them. Nomenclature. Nomenclature is the naming of an organism. So, hope that is clear to you. So, once we discover a new organism or a new species, the first thing that we do is we study the characters of the organism. This is called characterization. Then based on these characters that we studied, we compare these characters with the groups which we feel are related to this particular, or the characters. From these characters, we compare these characters with the characters of related groups. And after that, we classify. Based on these characters, we group the newly discovered organism to a particular group which have characters, more characters in common. And then we name the organism. And the process of naming of an organism is called nomenclature. Characterization, identification, classification, and nomenclature are processes basic to taxonomy. Once again, which are the processes basic to taxonomy? Characterization, identification, classification, and nomenclature. So, what is taxonomy? It is the branch of biology which deals with identification, classification, and nomenclature. Once again, what is taxonomy? So, these are the processes basic to taxonomy. Taxonomy is the branch of biology which deals with identification, classification, and nomenclature. Now, the term taxonomy was coined by A.P. de Candolle. The term taxonomy was coined by A.P. de Candolle, but the father of taxonomy is Carolus Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus is considered as the father of taxonomy. And he did in one of his publications known as the Species Plantarum, he gave the classifications of the plants. Species Plantarum. Linnaeus published the classification of plants in the publication titled Species Plantarum, and in his another publication called as Systema Naturae, he gave the classification of animals. So once again, taxonomy. What is taxonomy? Taxonomy is the branch of biology which deals with identification, classification, and nomenclature. And the term taxonomy was coined by A.P. de Candolle, and the father of taxonomy is Carolus Linnaeus. And Carolus Linnaeus, in his publication titled Species Plantarum, he gave the classification of the plants. And in another publication named Systema Naturae, he gave the classification of animals. While classifying the organisms into different groups, the evolutionary relationship between organisms was also taken into account. So this system or this systematic arrangement of organisms, taking into account the evolutionary relationship between them, is called as systematics. Systematics comes from the Latin word systema, which means the scientific or systematic arrangement of organisms. So what is systematics? Systematics is the systematic or scientific arrangement of organisms into groups, taking into account the evolutionary relationships between them. So I hope you have understood what is taxonomy and systematics. Taxonomy is the branch of biology which deals with identification, classification and nomenclature, and systematics is the systematic arrangement of organisms into groups, taking into account the evolutionary relationship between them. That is, in systematics, the evolutionary relationship is also taken into account. Now we shall look at what is nomenclature. What is nomenclature? We have already seen that it is the system of naming organisms. The system of giving names to organisms is called nomenclature. And since early times, man has been naming organisms. And we use local names for different organisms. A simple example, if we take the example of Hibiscus rosa sinensis, in English it is called China rose. In Malayalam it is called Chemparati. In Marathi it is called Jaswant. In Hindi it is called Gudal. So we use different names to denote a particular plant. So if you are trying to convey a message to another person living in another area, then it is difficult to convey the message because we are using different local names. So there came a need to give scientific names which are common to the people all over the world, This scientific naming of organisms or scientific names were assigned to organisms by two organizations, the ICBN and the ICZN. ICBN is the International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, which gave the scientific names to plants, and ICZN, which is the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, which gave the scientific names to the animals. And this scientific names are assigned to organisms by the ICBN and ICZN. ICBN is the International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, and ICZN is the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. And what is the purpose of giving scientific names? Scientific names ensure that each organism has only one name all over the world. Now, the earliest scientific names were polynomials. Polynomials means several names were used to denote a particular organism. I'll show you an example. Caryophyllum saxatilis, Pholus gramineus, Caryophyllum saxatilis, Pholus gramineus, Ambellatus corymbus. Ambellatus corymbus. So this is the name of a Caryophyllum. So the polynomial nomenclature of Caryophyllum. Caryophyllum saxatilis, Pholus gramineus, Ambellatus corymbus. So saxatilis means living on rocks. Pholus gramineus means grass-like leaves, having grass-like leaves, and inflorescence is ambellate corymb. So the Caryophyllum can be named Caryophyllum saxatilis, Pholus gramineus, Ambellatus corymbus in polynomial nomenclature. But what was the disadvantage of this system? It was very difficult to remember. It is very difficult to remember all these terms. So these names were difficult to be remembered, and soon these names were replaced by the binomial system of nomenclature. So the earliest system of nomenclature was the polynomial system. This is one example which I have mentioned here. So each organism will be known by several names in the polynomial system of nomenclature. The disadvantage of this system was that it is difficult to remember the names of each organism, because it is a very long name. It is very difficult to be remembered, and soon these names were replaced by the binomial system of nomenclature. Now, what is binomial system? From the term, it means that it is the naming of organisms using two names. Two names are used to name an organism. Two words, two terms are used, and this system of binomial nomenclature was first introduced by Carolus Linnaeus. Binomial nomenclature, naming an organism using two names, that is binomial nomenclature. And it was introduced by Carolus Linnaeus, who is the father of taxonomy. Now, there are certain rules to the binomial system of nomenclature. The first one is that according to this system, the name consists of two terms or two words. Each name consists of two words. Second point, the first word is the genus name, the name of the genus or the generic name, and it begins with capital letter. Begins with capital letter. The third point, the second word is species name. Species name, and it begins with small letter. Small letter. Now, for example, if we take the binomial nomenclature or the scientific name of mango, what is it? Mangifera indica. So, Mangifera, Mangifera indica is the scientific name of mango. Here we use two words. So, binomial nomenclature, the first rule is that every name or each name consists of two words. You can see two words here. Second point, the first word is the generic name or the genus name. So here the first word is the Mangifera, which is the genus name, and it begins with capital letter. And the second word is species name, that is indica is the name of the species, and it begins with small letter. So when handwritten, these names are separately underlined. And when printed, they are italicized. That is the fourth point. When handwritten, underlined separately. Underlined separately when handwritten, and if printed, the words are written in italics. Now the example, the scientific name of garden pea, Pisum sativum. So Pisum is the generic name, sativum is the species name. How do we write Pisum sativum? Pisum capital P, Pisum small s, sativum. This is the genus name, this is the species name or the specific epithet. So I hope you have understood the rules of binomial nomenclature. Now, in certain cases, we can see the name of the person who has described the species. Also, we refer to as the author. We write the name of the author at after the species name. For example, in an abbreviated form, we write the name of the author. Author here refers to the person who has first discovered it, maybe who has described it. So, Mangifera indica Linn. Okay, once again, Mangifera indica, Lin. That is the abbreviation of Linnaeus. So we can see, when we see such abbreviations after the specific epithet, it is actually the author. Author here refers to the person who has described the species or who named the species first. So that is these are the rules which you should know about the binomial system of nomenclature. So once again, the binomial nomenclature consists of two terms or two words. The first word is the generic epithet or the genus name, begins with capital letter. Second word is the species name, starts with small letter, and when handwritten, the two words are separately underlined. You should underline them separately, or when printed, it should be italicized. The two words should be italicized. And you can see the names or the abbreviations of the names of the author at the after the species epithet. That is, the name of the author is written in abbreviated form after the species name. As you can see here, Mangifera indica Lin or Mangifera indica L. L means again it is Linnaeus. So that is with regard to the binomial system of nomenclaturing. Now moving on to the advantages of the binomial nomenclature. The first one is it makes the organization and classification of organisms easier. The binomial nomenclature helps to organize and classify the organisms. Number two, it provides stability. That means even when the organism is shifted to another group, the name remains the same. That is what is meant by stability. The name remains the same even if the organism is shifted to another group. The third advantage is that is clarity and precision. That means there is no confusion. If we say the term Hibiscus rosa sinensis, it will be understood by a person living in any part of the world. There is no confusion. That is what is meant by clarity and precision. There is no confusion regarding the name. And fourth point is closely related with the third point, universal recognition. A name is recognized by any person living in any part of the world. Universal recognition. And next point, that is the fifth point, it helps to understand interspecific relationships. Interspecific means between the species. Relationship we can understand by the binomial system of nomenclaturing. So these are the advantages. So once again, the first advantage is that it makes organization and classification of organisms easier. Number two, it provides stability. That is, even if the organism is shifted to another group, the name remains the same. Clarity and precision. That is, the name is clear and precise. And fourth is universal recognition. It is universally accepted or recognized by a person living in any part of the world. And the last point is it helps to understand interspecific relationships. So I hope this session is clear to you. We have discussed about biodiversity. We have come across classification, characterization, identification, nomenclaturing. We have come across taxonomy, systematics. You have understood the difference between taxonomy and systematics. Then we have studied in detail about the binomial system of nomenclature. We have discussed about the rules of the binomial system of nomenclature. And I have shown different examples, and also finally we have come to the advantages of binomial system of nomenclature. So I hope this session is clear to you. If you have any doubts or comments, please give your doubts and comments or suggestions in the comment section. Thank you.